Good morning. We're back today for you to attempt or destroy peacock, Mayurasana. There might be a feathered peacock variation where you kind of lift your legs. And that is with your fingers facing your toes. The sister pose is going to be Hamasana, which is fingers facing forward. It seems more natural, but is actually a little more hinged at the wrist, so it's actually a little harder to get into, au contraire. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to start on your bellies this morning. Hopefully all your limbs are still working, and we're going to bring your forehead to your mat for a moment. We're working into your locust for now, maybe just airplane arms, tented fingertips, just, staying mostly not lifted, but, low to the ground as you activate a little bit of hug of muscle to bone throughout the body, awakening all the bits and goodies. Just doing a little inventory. So squeeze buns of steel, activate your core. And you're going to go for a little bit of length here. So definitely some squeeze. It's easy to rinse the breath out, but give it one more breath to fill up. Arms move out to a T. And as you exhale, come down, arms can stay. Turn your right cheek or left, really doesn't matter. If your left cheek is down, keep your left palm down. You can use your right hand to roll the right leg behind you. And you can keep straight legs, or you can bend the knee and place your foot a little bit behind either your hamstring or the back of your knee. You want to pick a place of comfort, and mostly the place where you feel like you can sink towards your mat. Just 4 breaths. So filling up, stretching out the lungs, expanding the ribs. One of the first things we do, you've probably noticed by now, is you start to get into a pose and we stop breathing. Maybe you start grunting instead. That's pretty natural, but we'll try to focus on breathing a little bit more today. As you come through center, I'm going to pause for a moment. We'll set up that locust one more time. Maybe it's still airplane arms or arms at a T felt better. You could also interlace, but work slowly so you're not over aggressive in your low back in particular. You're going to squeeze into those strong legs, like maybe you had a block you could squeeze between the knees. Awesome. You're going to take one more breath, lift and lengthen, and then exhale, come on down. Arms out to a T. We'll take it to the opposite side. Right cheek, right palm. We're going to peel open. So side to side might be a little bit different. We're just going to take those 4 or 5 breaths or so. And depending on whether you are taking this practice first thing in your morning or perhaps later in the afternoon, evening, you're going to just adjust energetically as you need, okay? So one more breath here, and then come back gently through center. One last little bit of locust. Maybe it's more like a baby cobra, but activating the back side of the body. This is what we're going to do essentially later on as you balance on your palms, using the elbows at your core. So remember the sensation, remember the activation, particularly in those glutes of yours, your low back. Bring your palms underneath, and we'll press gently to tabletop. As you come up, we'll open to a little cat and cow. If you're hanging out a few breaths or you're feeling pretty good to move on breath, that's up to you. Might feel good to take your hips a little side to side, or maybe it's just stretching through your neck. Right? All the things that make this your practice are always on offer, even if I don't say them. But as you find tabletop for a moment, you're going to fan fingers, squeeze some strength into your wrists, your elbows, the same way we tend to squeeze around your hip joints, knee joints, shoulders. And we're going to turn the fingers to face your knees. So a little wrist stretch. Now you can moderate how much you're stretching by moving your hips front to back. If you move forward, it's a little less stretch. If you start to move your hips behind you, you'll notice a little more stretch through the forearm. You're still active in fanning out the fingers and pressing your fingertips a little into the mat. 3. It's not about how much stretch is happening. It's the quality of stretch, the effectiveness, so don't worry about over-exaggerating anything here. Just try to stay active in the wrists and elbows. Nice job. As you come back slowly to tabletop, think about moving and transitioning the weight. So a big part of being able to balance in your peacock is transitioning the weight forward in the case of peacock, but for this example, if you were going to move your arms to airplane without kind of falling on your face, you have to move your hips back. Okay, and then you can tell as you want to move your arms forward, if you keep your hips where they are, you're going to fall forward. So you want to move those biscuits way back. So we're always balancing out these transitions. We don't think too much about it, pretty automatic as we move through the practice. But we'll work through that transition one more time. Palms come down, although we'll be standing. So as you curl your toes and lift your hips, three-legged dog, still thinking about balancing out the weight, you can, use the balls of your feet to press forward, press palms to move those sits bones up and back. If you want to roll out ankles, wiggle toes here, go for it. Just get one more generous breath. We're going to bring our knee towards the nose, rinse the breath out, step right through lunge to press into airplane. So again, the back line of the body as you lift, back heel is going to come up. And again, squeezing into your low back glutes and trying to move your hips a little bit behind you so you're in the standing heel. Once you find a little more of that balance, we're going to move the arms forward real slow to warrior three, arms transitioning the hips even farther. So remember this as you get to peacock, be playful in transition, and then step back through warrior one. I'm going to peel open through warrior two. And taking your time to flip your palms, reverse. Big side body stretch, and then windmill to high plank pause. We're going to bring your knees to your mat, and just like we would do in your peacock, you're going to leave the heels of your palms where they are and turn your fingers to face you. Just like that little wrist stretch, except for now when you come to low, mindful of your breast tissue. So ladies, you're going to move your elbows a little out. As you come to low, elbows at the core, we're holding here for 3, 2, kind of rounding a little in the mid-back, and then back to table. Switch the fingers, we'll press up and back, downward facing. So real mindful movement. Maybe working a little slower is throwing you off. That's okay. You can still do all the things. We want to make it super intentional. Left leg reaches to the sky, and we peel open. Right? For whatever reasons, our brains start to short circuit as we get into some of these postures, arm balances and inversions, and we lose all common sense. So slow, steady reminders, mindful movements. You're going to bring your knee towards the nose, rinse out the breath, step right through lunge to lift into airplane. Activate the back body. Find a little bit of balance. You can take a deeper bend in the standing knee. Back toes could even be on the mat, same, but again, find the standing heel. You might even feel the ball of your foot lift. And as you find that balance, we're going to move arms towards warrior three. Remember, hips press back farther, and then you can step back to warrior one. Nice job. And peeling open to warrior two, finding all the familiar spaces, flipping your palms, inhale, reverse. And as you exhale to high plank again, we'll pause. This time as you lower your knees to your mat, we'll keep your palms where they are and try to do that same little trick. Elbows are going to come towards your low ribs or your hips. So you're going to draw the belly up and in. Move the breast tissue out of the way. Try not to squish anything, and then hold one more breath. You're basically in peacock, by the way, just doing a harder version of it because there's no balance involved. So when you're ready, this time upward facing if you want, table, and then we'll take downward facing. Just get a good breath. Drop your head a little heavier. You can drop your jaw. And if you need anything else, go ahead and take it. But otherwise, we're going to reserve a little bit of your energy so that as you bring your knees to the floor, this time we're going to take the blocks. So I think maybe the first day of arm balances, we did the bobble out of your malasana. This time we're going to do less of a bobble, but very similar as you take the blocks Again, you're going to want to move any breast tissue out of the way so that if you took your elbows to your torso, they're kind of above the hips for most of us. But if you were to draw the belly in and kind of round just a little, you can move your elbows closer to the hips. So as you keep that connection awkwardly moving over the blocks, as Pamela is doing, you're going to curl your toes and then move towards a plank variation. So Pamela's going to lift her heart a little. So yeah, exactly, almost like a low plank. So instead of dropping the head and lifting the bum, or dropping the bum and lifting the head, try to keep this steady plank. You might lift one foot. Like, I stopped breathing 5 breaths ago. You might lift the other foot. You might lift no feet whatsoever. So this is an option. If you get to peacock and for whatever reasons, maybe you have a stomach ache, maybe you were working with a wrist injury or whatever, it's just not your day, you can work with blocks, but I suggest you work with one block that's flat so that if you do try to find the balance and bobble, you don't have blocks stacked that could fall off one another. You could use a giant textbook, by the way, anything else in your house you can find. But we're going to start to work towards regular peacock. Tabletop. So you're going to draw the right knee forward by the right palm. So the right knee is down. We're going to pay attention to this back leg. We're going to curl the toes and lift the knee because this back leg is like your crowbar, straight, strong. You want the knee lifted because you want the hips as high as they go, which isn't really all that high, but as high as they're going to go. And we want to use the ball of the foot to be able to press a little bit. So as you hook that right elbow underneath, and don't worry if you can't see everything, we'll do it both sides, right? Do that little hook. Belly is squeezing, rounding just a little, trying to get closer to the hips. Head can come down gently to meet your mat. Gives you room to get the left elbow under. Again, underneath you. And then you can keep this. Don't extend the legs just yet. As you lift your head and lift that right knee, maybe lift the toes and see if you can't find a little bit of bobble. So remember locust, the lift on your back line of the body. Try the other side. So try with the left knee coming up. And yeah, anytime you need to stretch out the wrists, you got plenty of time. So plant fingers, left knee comes up. Back knee is going to lift, right? That back leg is strong. Hook the elbow under, head comes down, hook the other elbow under. And then bring that left knee up towards your shoulder. So you're kind of bobbling. Maybe you're a hot mess on the floor.
Maybe you should.
Yeah. So in essence, yeah, right? Tabletop. Fan those little fingers. You're going to bring the knee forward, right? Take an elbow under, bring your forehead down. Other elbow comes under. Engage those buns of steel. And we're going to bobble here. Right? Just like airplane to warrior three arms, we can extend. And if you want to lift, you go gadget those biscuits like locusts, and magically they will lift at some point. So we're going to try Hamasana. Okay. I was like, please no. Where the wrists are still in the same flexion, but fingers are, instead of facing towards you, they're going to face in the same comfortable place we're used to. So again, I find these sort of flops really wonderful. You're doing all of the hardest work. So if you keep working at it over time, just trust that you're going to find the bobble, you're going to find the balance, you will find the lift. It's just things that we don't do every single day. If we did them as much as going to the grocery store, we'd all be pros, right? So here we go. Remember that awkward low plank you took? So you could either go knee forward, or if you want to try that awkward low plank and try to bobble from there, that's also an option. Elbow tucks, forehead comes down a little. We try to tuck the other elbow under, yeah. And then we activate the back body to see if we can bobble here. As promised, ooh, yeah, we got a little hoppage here. All right.
All right.
I was about to say it's harder this way, but maybe apparently it's easier.
For my wrists.
Yeah,
I
for your
think I use
wrists.
this for-
Great, so you can try the other side or keep whacking away. Right, knee comes forward, just remember your back leg is straight and strong. Now if you stop breathing, get some breaths in there, head comes down, that's what lets you bring the other elbow in. You want to find a little bit of bobble first. The infamous other side.
Nope.
Yeah, no, a little hoppage. To be honest, I don't think I've tried that one in quite a long time. Really, the trick is that Uddiyana Bandha. Already you're drawing the belly up and in before you get anywhere near the poor little bobble. So I guess as you, oh yeah, a little bit of bobble. I don't know about extension today. Maybe to step back. But there you have it, right? You don't need to be perfect at it. Some days are gonna be nice and messy, and then every now and then you have a miraculous moment where poof, you come on up. But something to play with. And if your wrists are already bothering you, it's a good indication that maybe some forearm strength, hand strength, right? Those two items, not necessarily working the wrist, but working hand strength. You could squeeze a ball, little wrist curls for the forearm. Over time, you'll strengthen some wrists. I know we don't spend too much time on them, so it could be as simple as that. But take care of your wrists, take care of yourself, and have fun with this hot mess. We'll see you soon. Toodles.